It was meant to be just another red carpet, flashing lights, roaring fans, microphones thrust forward, and 1,000 lenses ready to catch every perfect smile. But that night, something happened that no one saw coming. In a heartbeat, one fleeting look between Sam Heughan and Caitriona Balfe silenced the chaos, froze the noise, and sent shockwaves through the fandom. It was one of Hollywood's grandest nights, the kind where stars glide down the carpet with practiced ease, every smile rehearsed, every gesture designed for perfection. Sam arrived first, poised and effortlessly magnetic, in a suit so precise it seemed tailored by destiny itself. Calm, composed, he moved through the crowd with that familiar grace, charming reporters, signing autographs, his grin both polite and disarmingly genuine. Then came Caitriona, draped in an ethereal gown that shimmered beneath the camera's unending flashes. She radiated a quiet, impossible kind of beauty, the kind that doesn't demand attention but captures it anyway. The moment she stepped onto the carpet, the energy shifted. Fans screamed her name. The air itself seemed to change. And then, it happened. Across the frenzy of light and sound, their eyes met. Sam's expression softened, almost imperceptibly. The charming smile he'd worn for the cameras melted into something real, raw, unguarded. Caitriona paused mid-step, her lips curving into a half-smile that carried a world of memory. It lasted barely a second, but it was enough. Every lens, every fan, every onlooker caught it. You can stage a photo, rehearse an interview, perfect a pose, but you cannot fake that. Within minutes, the internet was in flames. Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, all lit up. One fan slowed the video to half speed and wrote, "You can see it in their eyes. That's not acting." Another added, "They looked at each other like the world disappeared." Hashtags like #SamandCat, #Their Eyes Don't Lie, and #Outlander Magic dominated the global trends. Fans analyzed every frame, the tilt of Sam's head, the softness in her gaze, the brush of his hand against her back when they finally stood together for photos. Skeptics called it chemistry, professionalism, friendship. But even the most logical observers couldn't shake the feeling that they had witnessed something deeper, something unspoken. When they finally stood side by side, one journalist later wrote, "The noise just stopped. You didn't need dialogue, it was all in their eyes." During interviews, both were poised as ever, Sam laughing about the show's success, Caitriona graceful and articulate, thanking fans and speaking of legacy. But between the polished words were glances, small smiles, and those fleeting touches that said everything words could not. When she turned to leave, he instinctively reached out, a hand at her back, light but steady, guiding her through the crowd. Cameras caught it, and that moment became the night's most replayed clip. Reaction videos flooded timelines. "That's not acting," fans wrote. "That's love. Real, unguarded love." Tabloids reignited old rumors. Sam Heughan and Caitriona Balfe spark romance buzz after red carpet chemistry. The photos spread like wildfire, Sam looking at her like she was the only person in the world, Caitriona smiling back with that quiet tenderness that seemed too personal for the cameras. Still, neither said a word. No denial, no confirmation, just silence, a silence that spoke louder than any headline ever could. Because sometimes, the truth isn't in what's said. It's in the way two people look at each other when they think no one's watching. When the lights dimmed and the crowd moved inside, the air remained charged. Behind the curtains, away from the noise, Sam and Caitriona slipped quietly into the after-party. Soft music, low laughter, the hum of conversation, and somewhere among it all, that familiar gravity pulling them back together. At first, they mingled apart. But eventually, as if drawn by some invisible thread, they found each other again. Witnesses described it like a scene from Outlander itself, subtle, intimate, magnetic. You could tell, one guest recalled. They didn't need words. It was all in the way they looked at each other. A fan's phone caught a fleeting moment, Sam leaning in, whispering something that made Caitriona laugh, unguarded and bright. His hand lingered briefly at her shoulder, steady and familiar. "They don't need to say it," one fan posted. "You can see it. That's love." Even industry insiders admitted quietly, you can't fake 10 years of trust. Whatever they have, it's real, even if it's not what people imagine. Later that night, as the party wound down, Sam was seen waiting near the exit. Caitriona appeared moments later, shawl wrapped around her shoulders. A fan caught it on video, Sam holding the door for her, murmuring something that made her smile as they disappeared into the night. 10 seconds. That was all, but for fans, it was everything. Because the magic wasn't in what they said, it was in what they didn't. Over the years, they've protected whatever bond they share through rumors, pressure, and endless speculation. Quietly, fiercely, unbreakably. People will always believe what they want, Caitriona once said. What matters is what we know to be true. And when Sam was later asked about her, his voice softened. She's one of the most important people in my life. Always will be. 2 simple statements. Quiet, honest, perhaps the only truth the world will ever need. Because whatever name you give it, friendship, partnership, or something beyond words, what they share doesn't need definition. It exists in glances, in laughter, in the small acts of care when no one's looking. When the night finally ended and they vanished into separate cars, fans lingered long after, whispering the same thing again and again. Love doesn't always need to be loud. Sometimes it's in the quiet moments, a glance, a touch, a silence that says everything. And maybe that's why the world can't let go of that one red carpet moment. Because for one night under the lights, Sam and Caitriona reminded everyone that the truest connections don't demand proof, they simply exist. Open ending. Weeks passed, and still, the world replayed that look. Neither spoke of it again, not in interviews, not online, not even in passing. But every time their names appeared together, the question echoed softly, was it real? Maybe one day they'll tell the story, when the cameras are gone, and the spotlight no longer burns. Or maybe they never will. Because perhaps the most beautiful stories are the ones that remain unfinished. The ones the world keeps wondering about, while the 2 people at the center of it just smile, quietly knowing the truth is theirs alone. And yet, even after the red carpet faded into memory and the headlines began to die, something lingered, a feeling no one could quite name. Weeks turned into months, new stories came and went, but that moment, that look, refused to fade. One rainy evening in Edinburgh, a fan posted a blurry photo, 2 familiar silhouettes walking side by side along the cobblestone streets, umbrellas tilted against the wind. No tags, no captions. Just a timestamp and a storm. Within minutes, the image went viral. Could it be them? Some asked. Maybe just strangers, others replied. Neither Sam nor Caitriona ever commented. But a few days later, Sam shared a single post, a candle flickering beside an open script. His caption read, "Some stories never really end." Hours later, Caitriona reposted it with a quiet reply, "Some just find new beginnings." No confirmation, no denial, just words, heavy with meaning. And once again, the world fell silent, waiting, wondering, believing. Because maybe what began with a look wasn't the end of a story at all. Maybe it was the start of another.